Hello everybody, my name is Laurel. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks so much for watching and finding my channel. Today is my day off of work, so I kind of wanted to just get out of the house a little bit. I wanted to go for a drive initially, but with the gas prices being so high, I'm like, maybe I'm just gonna drive somewhere, park, and then enjoy outside from a parked vehicle instead of burning gas. And then probably go have some breakfast and yeah. And not to mention the roads are not fantastic this morning. So it just snowed last night and I thought, let's not take any chances of getting stuck somewhere. Yesterday I just got in the mail my very first credit card, and it's relatively old, I guess, for an age at 22 to get your first credit card, but I just never needed one before, and I tried applying a few years ago and I got declined, and then I had to go for a secured card, and I did that process, but there's a couple things that I forgot to do, and then I had to restart it, but I just didn't ever need it because I always had the money that I needed on hand. So, several years later, I finally got my card, so I'm just excited because a whole new thing of actually building credit and preparing for your future life, and it's just something that you don't think about sometimes. But for car loans and getting a mortgage on a house and different things like that, so that's important, and those are definitely things that I want to be able to have in the future. So I'm glad that this whole process has been started.
Welcome to Burnside Seafood.
Yeah, can I get a bacon farmer's wrap? Do you have the creamy chocolate chills right now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Can I grab a small one of those?
Okay.
And then a hash brown as well.
184.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you too. Okay, now we're gonna go find somewhere to park. I am thoroughly enjoying this. I haven't had Tim Hortons in such a long time, and since working at Starbucks, just because I'm not a coffee or a huge drink person, the only reason why I drink Starbucks is because I work there and I get it for free. Otherwise, even when I'm not working, I would rarely go to Starbucks. It's kind of like an occasional drink thing. So that's why when I'm there, I try to do some sugar-free things just because I know my body can't handle a lot of sugar. So that's what I just try to do to create a little bit of balance. But today there's no balance here. Anyways, this is a beautiful park that I came to. I'm just gonna flip this around here for you. So anyways, yeah, that's just where I'm parked right now. Just kind of enjoying the snow a little bit, but it is cold and I didn't bring an actual winter jacket. But that's not even the problem. I'm wearing thermal socks, but my toes are freezing, so I might have to turn the car back on. Hopefully that doesn't disrupt the audio too much on here. We'll see. Something that I also really wanted to go over, because I was doing a Bible study, and it was about Proverbs 31, and most people know that as the Proverbs 31 woman, and we kind of think of that as what we're striving to be like, and in the meaning behind it, yes, but in the physical context, not quite as much. It's mostly the reasoning behind why she is and what she does. So before I dive into reading through Proverbs 31, I think it's important to also realize that the context of this, that King Lemuel at the time, this is something that his mother had taught him that was valuable, and it's kind of her wisdom that he's just sharing with us that she had originally taught him. So in this time frame, there's a couple lies that we see that it's kind of the society and the standard that women are placed in, and one of those is that women were no good. They messed things up from the very beginning. Again, look back to Eve, and that's exactly what they did. They're like, look, Eve messed this up, and women are still messing this up now. And they thought that women were the source of all evil, and nothing good could come from them. The next thing was that their only role in society in anything was to bear children. That was their only purpose ever. It wasn't to speak, it wasn't to provide anything else, it wasn't to have a say, it wasn't to have any rights. And lastly, it was that women were just a piece of property. So again, like, they had no rights. The husbands owned them. They were just pretty much traded from father to their husbands, and that's the only role that they played. It's like owning a horse or a dog or whatever it was. It was just a piece of property that they owned back then. It did what it was supposed to do and wasn't anything that had significant value. Okay, and as nice as this has been being out here, I am absolutely freezing to death. So I'm gonna go back home where it's a little bit warmer and maybe with my heated blanket. Okay, this might be a little bit more comfortable now once this, blanket actually heats up a little bit. Whew, my toes are so frozen. So where were we? So in Proverbs 31, we'll just start off like with each chunk at a time to be able to kind of go through it and again reflect on what that actually meant. So verse 10, an excellent wife who can find? She is more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. So something that's really cool about this is that she is not just an object. Her husband trusts her, and she does him good. It's showing that she is capable of living and looking like Jesus and bringing that through in her actions. And it's not just bringing on evil and she's, the root of all evil, or she cannot do any good. Verse 13, she seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. So again, in that little part, it's showing that really she's a girl boss. Like, she has her own businesses. She goes after what she wants. She makes sure that she has everything kind of in line, and she is so willing to work. It's like she's working onto the Lord. So it's not that she's not doing it for society, because society doesn't approve of her, which is crazy because she's doing all these things, but what were people telling her? It was definitely not in support of everything that she was working for. And the Lord is her guide, telling her what she's capable of, not what the world says she is and what she's capable of. And here she's also contributing to society. She's going above and beyond what was expected of her, and she's, again, working onto the Lord and not men. Verse 19, it says, she puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. So here, again, it's completely going against that she's the root of all evil, because there is love and good in her heart. She has compassion for the needy and the poor, and she just has perfect love, because perfect love casts out all fear. And there is no room for fear because she has so much love. Verse 23 continues on saying, her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. And in James, it says the tongue is the most evil part of the body, yet she knows how to control it. Verse 27 continues saying, she looks well to the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. So first off, fearing the Lord is the opposite of evil. Fearing the Lord means respecting and obeying God. Her husband praises her, and treats her with respect. He treats her like a queen. And again, it continues, it's not because of her looks, because charm is deceitful and beauty is vain. And he did not fall in love with her just because of her appearance. And it's because of her heart. It's where her heart is. And the really cool thing about this whole Proverbs 31 woman is it's not about what specifically she did. Like, it's not about, oh, she owned a business and oh, she did this, or she wakes up early. It's not a list of things that we need to be and we need to strive to do, but it's a rather of things that a woman of God is celebrated for being. Like, a whole sum of this Proverbs 31 is that she did not let her circumstances and society's standards determine who she was and who God was calling her to be. Not what she did. It's the reasoning behind the actions that we need to take note of. And what's really, I think, interesting is as we unpack that, is that it doesn't say, you know, a woman with a spotless house, or her kids are always well behaved, or she has the best wardrobe, or she has the best speaking ability. It doesn't say any of those things, but it's something that's in the heart and isn't measured by the society or any other measurable scale. It's what God sees you and what God calls out in us. And nobody is born like this. Like, this woman has gone through, you know, refinement. I can't even imagine what was going through her head because of the amount of pressure and disrespect that the society would have put on her. Everyone else would have seen her as worthless, a piece of property, you know, a woman should know her place type of thing. God called out so much more in her. We can conquer all of society's standards and all of the lies through the way we live our lives through Jesus Christ. So, I mean, this is even before Jesus. So what's kind of cool is the fact that this is before Jesus, yet she's living in Christ-likeness, like operating in love and kindness and wisdom and working onto the Lord and having a heart of compassion for others. It doesn't give us a list of things that we need to be doing as women of God to be able to meet a certain standard, but rather it's a celebration of everything that comes from being a woman of God, and that's actually what's important. And at the end of it, it's charm is deceitful and beauty is vain. After listing all the internal qualities of an excellent wife and an excellent woman. What's just so interesting is how what she did in her time frame and what in her society's thing, she totally went against all of those and what the belief was about her. And like, what would that look like if we applied that to our life specifically? I mean, it's not going to look exactly the same as the Proverbs 31 woman. That was her in her time where she defied standards and she seeked God. I mean, we're still going to bring out those same characters and, you know, values behind it, but what is that going to look like? Like, another way of, someone had rephrased a question, and it was so interesting to me. It's like, what would Jesus do if he were you in your life? So if he was in the exact same position, in the same family, in the same, you know, social status, in the same, with the same gifts and abilities that you have, what would he do? Because, you know, sometimes we get caught in, oh, if you just say, what would Jesus do? And it's like, oh, well, you're not just going to go, you know, around the country preaching the gospel. It doesn't always work for everybody. We all have different strengths and abilities, and we all have different parts that God wants us to play. And again, as we look through the Bible and, you know, all the different people in it, they all had very different roles to play. And it's like, what would God want you to do in your life? So if Jesus was you, what would he do with your specific everything? And that kind of brings a whole different conversation, I think, to the table. And again, it kind of brings to light what would be your Proverbs 31 woman. This was hers, and in her culture and her gifts and her talents, this came out in her. But with your specific things and gifts and talents and what God has called you to do, what would that look like for you? And I think that's so, you know, encouraging and inspiring to see, because it's not going to look the same for everyone. And I think that is actually really, really cool that it's not going to look the same for everyone. So we can't be measuring our success based off of, a side by side of, oh, I need to have a business, oh, I need to wake up early, because that's not everyone's thing. All of these specific things of, working with a spindle and going into the markets, we're all called to different things. And there's no, am I not good enough because I'm not looking like this, or like this other woman that you see walking alongside you, or this other lady at church. You are going to look different with your walk with God. And it's just seeing all of those fruits come forward in that relationship with Jesus. And honestly, it just excites me to see where that can take you. So make sure you let me know in the comments as well how you see that playing out in your life, and where you feel God is calling you with your gifts and your talents. And maybe ask the question, and maybe reply in the comments if you feel comfortable. But what would Jesus do in your life if he were you? And I think that brings a very real conversation in, and a lot more attainable. It's not like he's asking you to do something that's impossible for you in your circumstances. Like, it's going to be calling you out, and mean you could be stepping out in faith, definitely, because that's usually a big part of it, but it's something that attains to you. And I just think that's a way better way of approaching it and looking at it, just because it's not about perfectionism. We all cannot be Jesus. He was perfect, for one, but we all can't be carpenters and travel and preach the gospel in some other country and backpack through. Anyways, I just hope you guys took something from that as well. I'm nice and cozy now with my heated blanket and much better and warmed up. But I just wanted to share that with you because I thought it was really cool diving into that Bible study about the Proverbs 31 woman, and how it's not a list of everything that you physically need to be doing, but just how all of those characters and those fruits of the Spirit will come forward in your life and kind of manifest themselves in those ways. And it's going to look totally individual and specific to you and what God has for your life. So I hope that encourages you. And thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe if this was helpful and you want to go on this journey of growing closer to Jesus together. And I will talk to you guys later. See you in the next video.